Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about astrology and the death of Jimmy Buffett. Some of you may know he was a legendary singer and songwriter, and he had passed away at his. Well, he was at his home. I don't know if it was at his home 100%, but I know it was a peaceful death. He was around. Surrounded by friends and family, and even dogs, according to at least one dog, according to Wikipedia.org. So the thing about it is he was 76 years old, I believe, and it's about average age. And I just want to offer, first off, want to offer my prayers and condolences to the close friends and family members of Jimmy Buffett. Terrible, somebody that made such a great contribution to music, and made others' lives happier as a result of the beautiful music, passing away. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about some natal placements and transits, tied in with his life and passing. Now, Jimmy Buffett is a sun in Capricorn, moon in Capricorn as well. So you have the sun being in Capricorn, of course, a strong focus on attaining career aspirations and ambitions, basic character. Likely someone that was very ambitious, career-oriented, wanting to reach the pinnacle of success. A person very responsible, disciplined. The moon in Capricorn can have a very strong need for those business attainments, career attainments. He may have been involved in business as well. He's moon in Capricorn, though, can be inclined to a little bit despondency in terms of the feelings and feeling melancholy from time to time. But he does have he had Mercury in Sagittarius, which modifies things. So it's a good balance, because he also had, besides having a very serious side with the Sun, Mars, and Moon in Capricorn, Mercury in Sagittarius can be very jocular and jovial in their communications. And even though Mercury is considered to be in its detriment in Sagittarius, Sagittarius is also the planet of luck and fortune. So, and Mercury being singing and writing, that could be a fortuitous, placement as far as speaking, should say, and writing goes, I believe. And he has it in the second house of income. So his mind may have been motivated toward generating income. And he also had one of the rulers of his second house, which he has Scorpio on the cusp of the second house. He's a Libra ascendant, Scorpio on the cusp of the second house, and Mars being one of the rulers in the third house. So that's an indicator of making money through some kind of writing and speaking. That ruler, Mars in Capricorn, Mars being in its exaltation, and Capricorn, of course, an excellent placement for it, which can indicate very disciplined, structured energy, expending much energy, having drive and motivation toward attaining success, career ambitions, and aspirations. And that could give that strong Capricorn energy could give very good business and administration skills. Now, Libra ascendant, what he projected outwardly, of course, very differently from the basic fundamental sun character. The Libra rising, outwardly could be very, charming, tactful, diplomatic, sociable, engaging, people appeasing. He probably came across as much more cheerful and amiable than the typical Capricorn sun. He has preponderance of planets on the left side of his chart, which indicates he's likely someone that was much more independent and self-reliant, in contrast to being dependent on other people. Somebody, I mean, he has four planets, um, four planets and cardinal signs in the midheaven in cardinal. So the cardinal sign. So that indicates he was likely someone that was in a hurry to get things um, started, and very, somebody that wanted to be very active, stay busy, had an aversion to being stagnant. And again, going back to having the majority of his planets on the left side of the chart can also indicate that he may have been somebody that believed he was more about his actions, controlling his own destiny, and not having his someone that didn't believe his fate would be predicated on others' actions, because it shows somebody that was more of a do-it-yourselfer, in contrast to being dependent on other people. As doing things more independently, in contrast to collaborating with others on projects and endeavors. However, with the Libra ascendant, though, I mean, I'm sure he had a lot of moments where he enjoyed doing things with other people. He had Neptune conjunct the ascendant, which can indicate there was a dreamy side to him, a side that was very passive, and at times may have appeared nebulous or unclear, even, but it's a side that was probably very idealistic as well. And having died peacefully, and I believe likely in his home. It's interesting that he has in his natal chart, he has transit. Well, first of all, the transit Pluto was in the fourth house, so that's an indicator of death in the home. He also has the moon in the fourth house, conjunct the fourth house cusp, and that could be an indicator of a death in the home as well, natally. And being in Capricorn, nothing out of the ordinary. Capricorn is very, conventional, orthodox. This is, something that was just very, regular, you could say. And having having the ruler of the fourth house, Saturn, in the 10th house, can indicate a death that gained, certain notoriety and recognition. He has, Pluto conjunct Saturn in the 10th house. Pluto conjunct Saturn in some cases can suggest, a death just due to just general, older age. Nothing, nothing out of the ordinary or unconventional. And also, too, the thing about it is to having that ruler, the fourth house and the 10th house is where the end of life, which is the fourth house, can have some notoriety and recognition. He also had, conversely, he has the ruler of the 10th house, which is the moon, in the fourth house of the end of life. So another indicator of that, of having the end of life being one which gains certain notoriety and recognition. So, I mean, again, just very terrible, something very tragic that did transpire with Jimmy Buffett. And another thing, too, that I notice is that he does have, the transit of, Jupiter, making, at least a loose and conjunct to the ascendant, and in conjuncts in astrology can often be about adjustments. And sadly, I mean, you look at the ascendant as connected with our vitality, and our energy, and transit Jupiter near the 8th house cusp of death, making that in conjunct to the ascendant, that could indicate maybe perhaps an adjustment. Sadly, that was connected with, associated with death. But Jupiter, being in, peaceful, tranquil Taurus, can show that it was one, that would be, very, again, death that would be very peaceful. One that was very, very tranquil and in a very peaceful setting. One where he didn't have any, major, excitement or drama that was transpiring. Another thing too that I wanted to point out, transit on Jupiter is also loosely, conjunct his fourth house cusp, and that could be, fortuitous for the end of life. And again, being Jupiter and Taurus by itself could be fortuitous for things that are peaceful, that are tranquil, and the fact that it makes the loose trine to the fourth house cusp can suggest, something with the end of life that would be more fortuitous, being that it would be one that would be very peaceful. There, tranquil. There was no, upsetting conditions or anything, best of my knowledge, associated with his end of life. He also had transit Venus conjoin Pluto, or at least loosely conjoin it at the time of his passing. Another indicator of a death that could be peaceful. Transit Black Moon Lilith was in his 11th house cusp at the time of his death. So, Black Moon Lilith can have a connection with death, and was stated on Wikipedia that he was surrounded by friends. Transit Black Moon Lilith in the 11th house could indicate a death that was that had some, where friends would be, where friends could be around, and that's where when he passed away, my understanding is he was surrounded by friends at that point in time. So, really, again, it's just something that is, you're talking about very, very tragic passing of, somebody that was a great singer and songwriter. I believe Jimmy Buffett also had a very philanthropic side to him. He has Pisces on the cusp of the 6th house, which can suggest somebody that was able to incorporate a lot of benevolence, altruism, and also into and compassion in the daily routine. Having Neptune in the 12th house tells me he was likely somebody that may have sacrificed a lot for those that were less fortunate than himself, which can include the impoverished, the oppressed, the homeless, and the hungry as well. Jupiter conjunct Venus, by itself, he has it in the 2nd house cusp with money, can be very fortuitous for money. And and Venus is connected with singing as well. Jupiter prosperity, obviously, his singing career was one which was very prosperous. Being in Scorpio, Venus in Scorpio, I'm sure he sang with a lot of emotional intensity and passion as well. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.